Before I knew what I was doing, I summoned the magic deep in me. My skin tingled as I changed my appearance, just before stepping out into the clearing. "What have you done?" My voice sounded like the halfling that had attacked Rachel in the alley. Rachel jumped to her feet, spinning toward me. She frowned.
"Oh, Garth."
She glanced down at the cylinder.
"Well, I didn't mean to open it. Besides, what does it matter? My father will be happy. Anyway, aren't you supposed to be hiding and waiting for them to get here?"
My heart stopped in my chest. "I am hiding." The halfling's voice rang out just before he appeared right behind Rachel, smirking at me. Rachel looked between the two of us, then nervously stepped behind the halfling. I had meant to intimidate Rachel with this disguise. I had no idea that she actually knew the filthy little halfling. I narrowed my eyes at him. Garth, eh? I never would have guessed. He snapped his fingers at me. "Gotcha, shapeshifter." I sensed it coming and rolled out of the way just before the net dropped on top of me. My heart raced. Every pulse in my body said to run into the woods, but my eyes locked onto the cylinder, which still glowed with that purple light. Illustra's words rang in my mind. "It's more important than you realize." Without thinking, I rushed Rachel and the halfling. The halfling crossed his arms and looked over his shoulder. "Trime, do your thing." Without warning, a beam of silvery light slammed down on me. At first it looked like sparkling moonlight, but then the pain hit me. I stopped dead in my tracks as ghostly flames lit across my skin. My muscles twitched and spasmed as shooting pain raced under my skin. I fell to my knees gasping. I clawed at the ground, moving an inch at a time, closer to my cylinder. A scream escaped my throat finally as the pain became too much, but then my scream turned into an unearthly wail. The baby woke and cried out. Rachel's face contorted into one of horror. Garth smirked and moved toward me. Another halfling, a female in plate armor, stepped from the woods, her face a picture of concentration, her eyes glowing faintly with magic. She held a giant silver sword in her hands that grabbed my attention. I could see my reflection perfectly in its polished blade. I watched with horror as my shape changed in my reflection. I grew long and frighteningly thin. My clothes melted into my body. My fingers elongated and grew knobby with claws. My hair shrank into my head and my skin turned inky black. My eyes grew large and white without pupils. Finally, the halfling woman stopped in front of me. She stabbed her sword in front of my face so I could get a good look at my true reflection.
"We have you now, doppelganger,"
she hissed in a thick accent. The magical moonlight disappeared, and I gasped for air as the agony it brought left my body. Two more halflings, both wearing black clothes and hoods, dropped from the trees and grabbed the net off the ground, moving closer to me. Garth, arms still crossed, circled me. "We've been watching you a long time, doppelganger. My cousin here, Trime, was one of your unfortunate victims." Trime squatted in front of me, grabbing me roughly by the jaw and staring me in the eyes.
"I had a really neat javelin that shot lightning. Remember it?"
I snorted. "Wanna buy it? I'll give it to you half price." The halfling drew her fist back and punched me in the nose. Garth went on. "I have admired your work, beast. I can particularly respect the time you stole the Crescent Scepter out from under Ebonai's nose last year. That was beautiful." "Thank you," I gasped, reaching a shaking claw up to touch my bleeding nose. "As dangerous as it was to steal directly from Ebonai himself, though, I'm afraid you met your match when you stole from the Baron. You see this thing?" He nudged the cylinder with his boot, making the purple light shine brighter. "Cost him a lot of time, blood, and money. He was going to give it to the Duke of Dunwyn.
to save the family name from shame.
Rachel added softly, stooping and picking up her crying baby. Trium eyed me with disdain.
He offered us a lot of money to find ye. I should have done it for free, though.
I snorted blood from my nose. And that is why you will always be poor, Short Stack. Trium kicked me over onto my back, placing her giant sword across my throat. Rachel shrank back a few steps, her face going pale as she knew what was coming. Garth leaned over and smirked at me once again. It's been a fun game, beast. Trium tensed and drew her arm back. And now we get to the part with the icy sting of the blade and throat slicing and blood and crying baby and all that good stuff. As I choked on my own blood, a desperate angry roar filled the air.